Hello YouTube, and welcome to one of my first videos that I'm going to do where I talk to people in the disabled community. This episode is going out to people who have very visible disabilities, who are thinking about getting out in public and being part of society and all that stuff. Uh, Able-bodied people might not understand, but going out in public as a visibly disabled person, it's a difficult proposition, whether you were born with your disability or you became disabled through an accident like I did. Uh, because there's a lot of things that you face when you go out from society and from infrastructure and stuff like that. And so, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Before you even step outside, one of the first things that you're going to have to come to terms with is that the people that will interact with you mostly are from two extremes. And on these extremes, we have haters, terrible, awful people. We're going to talk about these fuckers in a different video. You usually don't deal with them when you're just out and about doing whatever. They'll avoid you. Haters you deal with in your own home from your family or whatnot, or like on the internet or something. So they're going to deserve their own little video. We can talk about them some other time. Fuck them. And then you have the people who will infantilize you. They'll treat you like a baby. Like they see you as helpless or in always in need of help, regardless of what you can or cannot do. It doesn't matter because they see the disability first. They see the person second. And so this is primarily the kind of person we're going to be talking about today because that's the kind of person that will actually interact with you uninvited when you go out in various different ways, which we're going to touch upon. And the second thing you kind of need to be prepared for when you go stepping out to be a part of society is that the world's not as accessible as they sometimes might try to say that it is. Like, I live in America. America has the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act. And a lot of able bodied people will tell you that, hey, ADA solved this problem. We treat disabled people perfectly well. They have access now. This is all not true, varying shades of complete horseshit to kinda true. Eh, some places are okay. Some places there's a lot of bullshit going on. And then when you're actually going out and you're ready to be a part, one of the first things you're going to notice are the eyes. If you're visibly disabled, like I am a double leg amputee, so I'm very visibly disabled. People stare, and you get either the just straight like oogling at you, or you get a lot of the times you get the old like people be and then just like you don't exist anymore. And it's obvious. If to an able-bodied person, you've never really dealt with it, so it wouldn't be obvious to you. But you see it enough as a visibly disabled person, like you can distinguish it from people who just don't give a fuck, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, disabled person, whatever." And then the people who look, and then very intentionally, like, you know, it's obvious. It's kind of the same thing as oogling at you. Um, you're also going to get interrupted at various points and for different reasons, but mostly to find out what's wrong with you, what happened, were you born that way, yada yada yada. Sometimes you'll get religious people bothering you, and you'll get attempts to help you with things, whether you ask for it or not, to varying levels of forcefulness. And we're going to touch upon all of this. So, rewind, back. World is not as accessible as we would like it to be. In America, some of the problems that I see are disabled parking signs in regular ass parking spots that just happen to be towards the front of a building or whatever, but they don't have the blocked out area for a wheelchair. Like, that's something that I need from a parking spot because I'm wheelchair bound. So I'm going to need to put my wheelchair something so I can go from the car to the chair. And there's quite a few businesses that their disabled parking spots don't have that. Perhaps the parking spots are old. Perhaps they're just hoping that, code enforcement doesn't find them because the spot is improper, whatever the case may be, you'll just see a disabled parking sign and some blue lines, but otherwise it's just a regular ass parking spot that doesn't actually fill your need. And a lot of the time, I'm not going to say a lot of the time, I'm going to say about half of the time, you can see these parking spots in front of buildings that don't have ramp access to their buildings. They'll just be a curb. And you'll need help getting up that curb if you're wheelchair bound or if you have mobility problems, like you have trouble stepping up. You'll start to see this to a degree that's just frustrating to deal with. And one that I've seen a lot is also the disabled sign on a bathroom that isn't actually accessible. Like maybe you can fit your chair or your walker or whatever into the bathroom, but you'll find that the stalls aren't actually large enough for a chair or your walker or whatever. Maybe they just have a handrail in one of the bathrooms and that just technically counts. You run into that one a lot. I do see that more times than I care to admit to. It's very frustrating as a wheelchair bound person to go to a place of business, need to use the bathroom, and find that I can't use the bathroom, even though they have a sign on the door that says, hey, this is accessible. It is not. And the unfortunate other side to that is that people, able bodied people, largely don't care. They don't care. They know that the ADA exists and they think that that pretty much is all that, yeah, ADA exists. I see parking. I see signs on bathrooms. Job done. It's like, job not done. There's an umbrella approach that's been taken that just in the umbrella approach way hasn't been taken far enough. And the umbrella approach isn't good because there's so many different disabilities out there. Like a society can't bend over backward to be perfectly accommodating to every possible disability. That's impossible and ludicrous and too expensive, but we can do better. We can think better. Like where I live in Florida, one of the things that I hate are there's these where every intersection where you go up, you hit the button, you wait for your little signal to cross, the little walking man signal. Uh, at all of those intersections on both sides are these raised bumps, and they're for blind people. But if I'm rolling and I have my walk signal and I can keep at speed, if my caster wheels catch those bumps, my caster wheel can be turned and I can be pitched right out of my chair. Like it's nightmarish. And I wonder, like, is that the only solution for blind people? You would think that indentations would be better. I could roll right over those and they would work for blind people because they would feel them with, their stick. I don't know what you call them. Their cane. I'm sorry. Their cane. They would feel them. Do, 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 do. Okay, this is where the path is. It can be indentations instead of bumps. Simple solution. I think the reason they put the pads there is just because they can just throw those on top of already existing infrastructure, and they don't give a shit what happens to other people. They say, look, we're helping blind people. The guy in the wheelchair can go fuck himself. You know, it's imperfect solutions that don't perfectly help that I'm talking about. And you can see this kind of stuff all over the place. Like there are several sidewalks where I'm at where they just end. One of the worst ones goes on for like half a mile without a single like ramp to get off and cross the street to the other side, of which there isn't a sidewalk anyway, and it just ends into a ditch. So if you're a wheelchair, like this happened to me once, I'd never gone down that sidewalk again. I was just rolling, expecting the sidewalk to just go like a city sidewalk would. I go around a bend and I see, it just fucking ends. I look across the street, there's no sidewalk. There's not even a way for me to get down off the sidewalk I'm on, even if there was a way. Like, even if there was a sidewalk across the street, it just, what the fuck? You know? You see that kind of stuff all over the place. And I don't even live rurally, I live in a city. People in New York City, disabled people in New York City, face these difficulties. The subway can be a nightmare for people with mobility problems because they're just not built for it. There's little things, but they don't function right, or they don't go far enough, or that they aren't truly accessible. They're just kind of put there as a visual cue for able-bodied people to be like, see, you see, look at that. Look at how accessible everything is. We're an enlightened society. And that's it. We could go further there without bending over backwards, without spending a ton of money. Just little changes can mean so much to accessibility for people. Of course, that means getting more able-bodied people to care. Because an unfortunate part of being part of the disabled minority is that we're an invisible minority. We're very small as a group. And most of us don't go out because it's hard and painful. It's difficult on top of dealing with a difficult, painful disability. Like, it's just harder. And I'm going to talk about that in another video, like the difference in availability of energy for people with a disability and able-bodied people. It's called the spoons theory. You can look it up yourself if you want. It helps explain things pretty succinctly. And getting able-bodied people to care means being more visible, which is hard for a group that tends to hide away because of how difficult things can be. You see how it's like a feedback loop. So, say you get over this, you go out anyway. I find my paths and routes and stuff. I figured out, where I can go, where is accessible, what is a decent place to be and hang out. I'm going to go out in public. And you decide the same. You're like, I figured it out. I know where I can go do what all is out there for me. So I'm going to go be out there. You're helpless. Not to you, but to people. The people that will stare at you or give you the glance hallway thing. You're helpless. You look helpless to them because they're able and you're not. And so they see the disability first, person second, if they see the person at all, because they don't know who you are. So they just see the disability. And the disability just means can't. Poor thing. Puppy dog. Let me rush to get that door. Let me rush to help push you, whether you invited me to or not. Let me butt into your activity to give you assistance that you didn't want. And that can be really hard to deal with. Like, I have a lot of pride about my upper body because I don't have much of a lower body. My legs are gone. My left leg is gone entirely. I know what I look like down there. I know why I draw so many eyes. And so I work to be as strong and as able as I can up top. I'm proud. I'm proud of that. I put a lot of hours into being strong. Nobody sees that. I go out and about. Nobody sees that. And that can be so demoralizing. Not just for me, for anybody that's visibly disabled that has worked to be as able as they can be within the realms of their disability, to just be seen as like, you can't. No matter how much work they've put into, can. That's not what people see, and it hurts. And you have to learn how to internalize that. You have to learn, because you can't spend so much time getting angry at these people. You would get mad every 5 seconds. You would get mad from all the eyes, from the stares, from people trying to push their help on you or anything like that. You would just get so angry all the time. It's just not worth it. You can't spend so much time to be angry. So you have to kind of internalize it. You have to try to understand that we are animals in our own right. We're instinct driven creatures, and our instinct at a human that looks visibly disabled is to one, stare, and two, assume the worst, can't. And we just have to do our best to work to upend that perception. Be visible, you know, be visibly able to do what you can. For me, people run to get doors for me. They'll like book it across a parking lot to get a door for me. I fucking hate that shit because that's like one of the first things I learned how to do was open a door for myself and how to get through nice and quick and easy, slick. You know, it doesn't matter. People run to get the door for me. So sometimes I love it when I get the chance to get the door and I see somebody behind me. Like I could tell they were like kind of picking up speed to get that door to open it for me, and I got it. Boom, and I open it and I hold it for them. And I'm just like, those little moments. Whatever your little moment is, take them where you can, and like make eye contact with the person that was trying to help you, and you beat them to it and help them instead, and just like you know become something they might mention to others, like, oh yeah, I was going to help this person, they did it, it was pretty impressive, whatever, because that helps propagate the information that your perception about disabled people is wrong. It's not that we don't need help, we do. Sometimes we do. I go out with my girlfriend a lot, and because she's the one that drives. I don't have feet, so I'm working on getting controls for the car where I can drive too. But right now she's the one that drives, and she has to load my wheelchair into the trunk and unload it for me. It's the one thing that she has to do. I can't do it. That knocking noise, by the way, is my refrigerator. I can't really do anything about it. Sorry, guys. Um, there's things that disabled people need help with, but we don't need help with everything. Unfortunately, when you go out as a visibly disabled person, expect people to think that you do. At least when you expect it, when it happens, when people try to push their help on you or whatever, you're not so angry. You're like, yeah, I was expecting this. And you can politely, graciously, hey, I got this. Or if it's just something simple like a door or whatever, you're like, yeah, thanks. Have a great day. And you just move on, you know. But I do advise drawing a line in the sand. I have a line. My line is you don't touch my chair. You don't push me. I push me. I'm damn proud of my ability to push myself. That's how I got these arms of mine. I go rolling around like an idiot madman, real aggressive shit to build strength and keep strength so that I can continue pushing myself for as long as possible. So if somebody comes up behind me to push my chair because I'm like struggling up a hill or something, I grab my wheels and I stop. And one, I hope the strength of my ability, like they can't push me anymore. I'm strong enough to stop them dead. I hope that sends a clear signal. And if it doesn't, I immediately follow up with like, hey, thanks, I got it. You know, polite but curt to send the other message. Your help is not welcome. That's my line in the sand. And to my disabled brothers and sisters, you deserve to have a line too, where if somebody tries to help you on a certain thing, you're like, no, I've got it. Thank you. The little things like doors and whatnot, let those go. They happen so often that it's just not worth the emotions. But find your line in the sand, your point of pride, where it's like, no, I am a person first, and I have decided that I can do this. Think so. Aside from that, you're going to get interrupted. People are going to want to ask you what your disability is, or how did it happen. If you're obviously an accident like mine, Like I even have visible scar tissue and stuff. Like just even up here, you can see where I had a little crick in there. Um, get used to that. Learn how to cut your story down to like the barest minimum sentence, maybe two. I used to give like a paragraph. I've told my story so many fucking times that I'm just like, oh, I was hit by a car, ran over by a truck. And I don't fill in any more details. My story is long and complicated. I have a video up here tells you about all the bullshit I went through, but the gist of it is, yeah, cars. Yeah, boop, boop. There you go. End of story. Moving on. Or maybe I'll tell a joke or something and just try to send a message. I don't really want to talk about it. And to able-bodied folks, you know, I've had some of you guys get annoyed at me when you ask me, "Hey, what happened?" And I'm just like, I'm not gonna really talk about it, or I give you the shortest answer possible. You're like, why don't you want to? Like, it's kind of rude that you're not answering. No, you're kind of rude for assuming that this is the first time I've been asked that stupid fucking question for the 10,000th time. I understand you're curious, okay? I understand, but leave me alone. Leave us alone. When we're out and about, you don't have a right to just come up and bother people about their disability. You're the rude one. If you're the kind of person that would do that, you're the rude one. There are times and places for that shit. And sometimes you're just going to have to live with the mystery. You see me rolling down the street, and you're like, wow, what happened to that guy? Keep wondering. Leave me alone. I'm on my way somewhere. I'm in the middle of something. That goes for all of us. We're doing something. Leave us alone. You're a visibly disabled person. Expect people to interrupt you, but that doesn't mean you have to give them the time of day. You can tell them, oh, I'm not really interested in answering that right now. Or you can just give them the super Reader's Digest version of the story, like a sentence, maybe two, and like, anyways, I'm doing a thing. Have a nice day. Move on. Um, Another part of that is if you're in America, other religious-y places, I'm in the American South where it's pretty religious-y, uh, you're going to get bothered by God people sometimes. They sometimes get attracted to us, disabled folks. They like to come up and, you know, God bless you. I don't really like it. If you're a disabled person that is very religious and appreciates that kind of interaction, good for you. I'm glad for you. You're gonna run into it. I have a feeling that after a little while, a few of those interactions, even you're gonna be like, all right, buddy, you know. But for most of us, I think it's gonna be it's just like people come up and they start in with the God stuff, and you're just gonna be like, oh boy, here we go. And you're polite. Don't be rude. Don't be like, let's listen, go fuck off. Just be like, oh, yeah, thank you, but have a nice day. I'm in the middle of something. Just like you do with the interrupt us asking questionist. You just, the religious nuttus is the same specimen. You just, I'm busy. I'm just busy. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for the nice wishes. Yada, yada, yada. Whatever polite thing you can come up with. I guess the final point is just expect things to be not just difficult. You already knew it was going to be difficult. Life as a disabled person is difficult. We make the best of it, though. That's human nature. We take the hand we've been dealt and we play it. Doesn't matter if it's a really shit hand. We're still breathing, so we try to play that hand. The unexpected part of going out is just how weird it can be sometimes. Uncomfortable, unusual. the weird conversations and interruptions and just the assumptions. For me, I'm a legless guy that's, I'm not going to say I'm fit because I got a gut, but, I got my guns. I'm proud of them. Not as big as I used to be. I'm getting old, whatever, but I got them. So I look like this. So people are like, he must have lost his legs in the war. What war? Who cares? It's some war. Must have lost them there. And it's like, nah, I got hit by a fucking car. You know? I get that one a lot. People just come up to me out of the blue. Thank you for your service. I'm not into stolen valor, so I always correct. For you, it might be something different. It might be the same thing or some combination therein. Expect weirdness. But on a positive note, sometimes that weirdness can bear fruit. Sometimes you meet interesting people that are worth talking to, worth getting to know. So don't always push people away. If they seem decent enough, genuine enough, have a conversation with people. Treat it as a teachable moment if you have the time, and try to fill them in on like what it's actually like to be a disabled person that has to deal with all this bullshit. And maybe they'll spread it to other people. And little by little, we can help change some of the perspectives in the world that we have to live in. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you watching. Hopefully, I'll have another video out soon. Have a great day, guys. Bye bye.